We are live. According to my everything, we should be. So, let me see. I can't see anything. This is a disaster technically, but it's great. Hopefully, there are people who are seeing us right now. But welcome.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for the technical difficulties, but you know how it is. Welcome, Aine. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to talk to you and to your listeners about building confidence
Yes,
musically.
yes, and we're going into this very blind. We haven't. This is going to be a fly by the seat of the pants, which is always more fun, I
Absolutely.
think.
Well, I think we both know have a lot of expertise in this area,
Yeah.
so that will carry us through.
Absolutely, yes. I think what we should do, first of all, there should be we have a chat, and I should have a window somewhere where I can see that chat.
Yep, I can see it at the side here.
Good, good that one of us can. Um, so if there's anybody out there, oh, there it is. Hang on. There we go. I found it. So I have a chat because we're streaming to a couple of different places. All the chat will appear in one place. It's
Oh,
all
this is
very technical.
great.
It's all very technical, and that's why we started a little bit late. But so if anybody has any questions as we go along, please feel free to do that. Now, I'm going to introduce myself because we're streaming to your audience and mine. So my name is Eyvindur. I'm an Icelandic singer-songwriter, author. Let's see, what else am I? Actor, director. I do all kinds of different things. I wear many pants, and I also host a songwriting podcast called Strongwriting, and I am a songwriting coach. And you?
Well, my name is Aine. I'm Irish, as some of you might know from the accent. I live in America right now. And I'm an intuitive voice coach. So I help people to uncover the mental and emotional blocks to expressing themselves. And I do that through combining psychology, spirituality, and voice techniques. I love what I do. And I really, truly believe that everybody's voice has value and that your voice is a treasure and it can bring you on a journey that will be very rewarding. It can bring empowerment, healing, and even more success by embracing the voice that you have rather than trying to make it into something it isn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. And you have a great podcast.
Yes, I recently interviewed Ayvinder for my podcast, and it'll come out this weekend. And yeah, I have my podcast. I'm also running a summit called the Voice and Song Summit, and the theme is Get Unstuck in Business Using Your Voice. So if you're at all curious about that, you can register for free through you'll find that on my Facebook page, Confidence in Singing. My website is confidenceinsinging.com, or give me a shout through LinkedIn or wherever, and I will pass on the information. But I'm really excited to share my message that using our voices is a tool of deep transformation, and not just something that you use to perform with, and that people can say, oh, it's a good voice or a bad voice. I really believe everybody's voice has value.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. So I think we're gonna go through 10 tips for confidence for singers, musicians, songwriters, I guess artists in general. Most of this will probably apply, at least mine should apply to any kind of artists. And I think we'll take turns.
Yes,
All right.
let's see what tips we come up with on the
Yes,
fly like this.
and hopefully we don't overlap too much, which is
Sometimes we need to overlap. I
true.
think people can underestimate the simplest tip sometimes. So
Good
maybe
point.
that's going to be okay if that happens.
Uh, we'll go with it.
Yeah.
So, you want to go first?
Sure. The first thing that popped into my mind about confidence is to do with physical posture. When we sing, in order to sing well, we tend to align our bodies. I try not to say, get, sit up straight and things like that. It's actually more about alignment and feeling into your body. And I call this a type of presence or awareness. It's about being in your body, and your body is your instrument as a singer. And when we are present and we have good posture, the good posture that we have actually feeds back information to our brains saying, "Oh, you've got good posture. You must be confident." So sometimes our posture actually helps us feel more confident. And I would say for anybody, it doesn't matter if whatever you do, to practice better posture. Yoga is a great way to do that, and power posing, which Amy Cuddy has an amazing TED talk about. Is a very good way as well. With power posing is literally just standing like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes, and you can put on the Wonder Woman music. Wonder Woman. Do, 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 do. Anyway, whatever song inspires you, do your posture, and you'll be surprised how your physiology changes, how your hormones, like the hormones that create that feeling of I can handle things, testosterone, and it reduces the levels of the stress hormone cortisol as well.
Yeah.
So there's phenomenal research done on it. So that's my tip number one.
That's fantastic. I have I used to struggle with my posture, and I can't tell you how much it affected not only my confidence but just my singing when I learned how to stand up straight. I used to literally sort of knot up and bunch together when I was straining my voice, which is exactly the opposite of what you should do. And so, yeah, that's a fantastic piece of advice.
It's important for people who play instruments, like especially with the guitar. A lot of people tend to twist into the guitar, and if you're not an experienced guitarist, you'll tend to look at your fingers, which is bringing your neck down. So if you play an instrument and sing, then it's extra important to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Well, that's actually one of the, because I have a habit of looking at my fingers when I'm playing guitar. Not that I've been playing guitar most of my life. It's kind of like a nervous tick almost. I look at my fingers. But because I've been singing, I've trained myself to do it without turning my head, because I need to keep my head because I tend to sing pretty close to the mic. So if I turn, then I'm gonna. So it's I can look at it without turning my head. All right, so yeah, that's again this is some of the things that I've picked up like through trial and error, which is again why it's so wonderful that we have people like you who can get people there without them having to just figure things out on their own. Because it took me probably a good 10 years to realize how my posture, and it's probably not as good as it could be anyway, but it's certainly better than it was. So my number one tip, which is our number two tip, I guess, has to do with goal setting. I'm a big fan of goal setting, and but the goal setting is kind of a double-edged sword, because it's very easy to get demoralized when your goals seem hard to reach. And so that can actually undermine your confidence. So my number one tip is it's sort of a two-part. It's very important to set goals, and when you reach your goals, it does wonders for your confidence. But the trick is to make them bite-sized, especially to begin with, so that you're not overwhelming yourself. So that if you want to become a better songwriter, then just setting a goal of creating a nice songwriting routine is really going to be helpful. And it's very simple. It's a very easy goal to accomplish. And then it's just a matter of sticking to it routinely. As opposed to if you set a goal of, okay, I'm going to write 30 songs. That can start feeling overwhelming very fast, especially if you don't, if you have a week where you're feeling off and you don't do it, and then you feel, oh, well, now I'm behind and I'm not, it's going to be hard. And then your confidence gets shattered. So if you just start out by setting goals that are not too easy, because then it's not an accomplishment, but just that feel the right size, you know what I mean? So that you're not setting yourself up for failure. So that's I think that's my number one tip, especially if you're somebody who has struggled with low confidence, to just you're going to feel very good when you reach your goals, and just making sure that the goals are the right weight and right size, so you'll get there.
Yeah, that's a really great one, because it comes down to understanding that you can achieve it. It's believing in yourself. It comes down to that.
Yeah.
And when you set a smaller goal that you achieve, you start to believe in yourself. And
Absolutely.
that helps you then to set slightly different goals and build, really, especially if they're habits, they can be built upon and expanded in a gentle way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of habit goals, especially in the beginning, because habit goals are they're not necessarily easier, but they have a kind of a built-in rhythm and momentum, as opposed to an achievement goal where you're saying, okay, I'm going to release an album in 3 months or whatever. Then there are all of these different smaller steps that sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming to figure those out. Whereas a habit goal is just, I'm going to sit down and write music every day. It's you either do it or you don't. So
Absolutely. And people don't realize how much a good habit can compound
yeah,
and kind of create change in a quite a gentle way, but really dramatic after a number of months of
oh yeah,
maintaining something like that.
absolutely. Very, very powerful. Habits are such a powerful thing.
Well, I think I've got the tip number 3
Yeah.
is to connect with your message.
Okay.
This is a little bit to do with your values as well. I notice when I have, people that I'm helping with singing, that they become very self-conscious, that they feel like, oh, everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest realizations in my own business was that when I connected with this feeling that I have a mission and I have a message, and that message has value, whether people think I have value or not. So I would be happy to promote myself, because I feel like this mission to help people realize the treasure in their voice. It's kind of, that's the preceding thought, not Aideen has a business that
Yeah.
she,
Yeah.
makes people buy singing lessons or whatever it is. But when we're singing a song, sometimes we're so self-conscious that the meaning can get lost.
Yeah.
And so I think when we have a message or a meaning, something greater, like a universal, if it's a love song, it's like more than just you have felt that emotion before, and you can bring something that's universal in through your voice that many people can connect with. And there's a value in you saying what that is about. There's a value in communicating that message, and you just happen to be the person who's communicating it there that day.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great message, and I keep saying, in like when I'm writing about songwriting and things like that, that getting art into the world, no matter what it is, no matter how you do it, there are so many people on this earth that somebody's going to need your message. Somebody out there needs to hear what you have to say, because you're just not that unique. No one is that unique that there's nobody else feeling the same way, needing to hear your message. I think it's actually a very arrogant thing to think, oh, nobody's interested in what I have to say. That would mean that you're this unique person and there's nobody else like you, and that's just not true. And I think that by getting it out there, by growing your confidence, and by allowing yourself to get yourself out there, which is a thing that you have to allow yourself to do. You need to give yourself permission to do that. By doing that, you're you're providing value to other people, and you're helping people, and it's you're making the world a better place, one song at a time, or one painting at a time, or whatever you do. So yeah, I that's great.
You know what people don't sometimes think about is, how people admire when anybody puts something out, because
Yeah,
an act of bravery.
it
You just
is.
stand up on a stage even before you start singing. There are people in the audience that are really admiring you, that you had the courage to stand there
Yeah,
and to put a painting on the wall and put a price on it.
yeah,
And that is a form of inspiration, because you're saying, hey, I understand that I have some value. And, maybe that person will think, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And I think that's a very important knock on effect of each of us taking more space and allowing ourselves to be creative. Other people will follow suit.
absolutely. And this kind of links into my next one, our fourth tip, which is stop comparing yourself to others. Just don't compare yourself to other artists ever. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be inspired by others. I think Tom Waits said every artist is imitating other artists and doing a bad job, and that's how you find your voice. So you need to find your voice, and you need to, but getting there through other artists is fine. But the minute you start thinking, I wish I could play guitar as well as that person, or I wish my voice was as good as that, or whatever, then you're undermining yourself, you're undermining your confidence. And going back to what we just said, somebody out there needs exactly your voice, not their voice, your voice. And so just never ever compare yourself to other artists. It's the most detrimental thing you can do for your confidence.
Definitely. And I
That's
think we compare ourselves to other people's successes. I think
yeah,
sometimes we're comparing ourselves to what we should be.
yeah,
It's like, oh, I'm whatever, like I'm 48. Okay. I should have da 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 da. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I asked myself, I wanted to be a singer. My mind was saying, you can't do that. And I kind of convinced myself, well, Britney Spears was the biggest singer at the time. And I
yeah,
was like, oh my God, she's having such a hard time. I said, well, if that's what comes with it, maybe I don't need exactly that.
yeah.
But it was like I took a longer route to find my singing again. And I don't think that there's a timeline that's perfect for each person. I think that we have to follow our own path.
Absolutely, yeah.
So don't compare yourself to others, and don't compare yourself to what you think you should be already doing.
And don't compare your journey to somebody else's destination. I think that's like a quote you've seen in memes and things, and I think it's such a good one. Is that, you look at, if you're looking at Britney Spears, you're looking at her like at her peak, and that's not where you are. So or regardless of who you're, it's like my Freddie Mercury is one of my favorite singers, and it took him. I saw a documentary and I've read his biography and things, and it took him a long time to become the singer that he was. Even on his first few albums, he's not as good as he would later become. And so, just comparing yourself to peak Freddie Mercury is not fair to anybody.
Yeah, that's really good. So, tip number 5, what would that be? Um, I think this idea of practice makes progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So sometimes we're aiming for some sort of perfection, but I really believe I've had singers say to me, "Oh, I don't warm up. I don't need to." Da 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 da. But I'd be surprised that they weren't singing. If you're not singing a little bit at home, and you're not using your voice at all, you need to, then having a good voice when you perform is going to be difficult. But some people sing all day long, like they don't realize they're doing it.
yeah,
So I would say we need to be conscious of what it is your bite-sized goal might be, to be able to sing a song well or something like that, or to sing a portion of a song well, and to take, it comes into that bite-sized goal thing, but really it's about that practice makes good progress. And we have a lot of a lot of power over what happens
Yeah.
if we do it well, and do it in small amounts every day. So maybe I'm repeating. That might be the one that we've repeated.
No, I
Practice
think
makes
it's,
progress.
yeah. I mean, I actually think this is especially for, because we realize that if you're a singer or an instrumentalist or whatever, that you need to practice. This is sort of what everybody knows this, even if they don't necessarily do it. I think is a very good point for the creation process as well. For a songwriter, that's something you need to practice as well. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, and that's why like 90% of what will get you there to be a better songwriter is just doing it every day. And of course, then, if you have a good process, then that's obviously going to help. It's going to be better. But just the bare bones, just sitting down and doing it is like you're 90% of the way there just by doing that, because practice does, the more you do it, the better you will get, guaranteed.
And a lot of the most renowned songwriters actually wrote hundreds of songs that didn't actually make it into the charts, and they maybe some of them didn't even get recorded. I know that John Lennon and Paul McCartney wrote 400 songs from
Yeah.
John's living room before they even went on tour. So don't forget that, guys,
Yeah.
because just do it a lot, and the more you do it, the more likely something will stick.
Yep. That's it. And that's why I always say quantity equals quality. The more songs you write, the better your songs are going to be. So my next one is just purposefully step out of your comfort zone. Like, make an effort to not stay in your comfort zone all the time, which means you're going to need to be vulnerable. It's hard to do. But then once you've done it and survived, you're going to be more confident. This is, I used to have this rule that if an opportunity came up, I said yes, no matter what it was or how scared I was to do it. And I don't do that anymore. But there was a period that I did that, and I had some massive failures during that time, doing things that I was not equipped to do at all. But it did really help, and I realized that, okay, I failed, but then I realized that failure isn't as scary as I thought, and that helped me to grow. So I think just making a clear and conscious decision to step out of your comfort zone every once in a while, that's a big tip for me.
That's a really good one. My next one is slow down and listen.
Yeah.
So, especially with, I think any musician, sometimes what we just get so excited to play the song and get into it that we just get the chords and we like bang it out or whatever it is and sing along to the song on the radio. And what we don't tend to do if we're as a new kind of a newer singer or an amateur is we don't tend to break down the song into parts. We tend to have portions of the song that we don't know as well, but we're kind of not taking any time with it. So I would say slow down and listen is a really powerful way because preparation helps us to become more confident. So when we break the song into parts and when we see where we are nailing it and where we're not nailing it, then you can literally just practice that piece, work it out on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And the chords that you're finding your fingers just struggle with, just to practice that over and over and over again. So I say slow down. And a lot of singers actually don't listen enough to the backing tracks. Like a lot of singers really are into lyrics. They're into the emotion that the song brings. They're kinesthetic, touchy-feely people, and so we need to listen a lot more to the rhythm and the bass line and what happens, what instrumentation is there. That is an education on its own that anybody who's aspiring to write a song or sing a song needs to do more of. Just listen to the song. Don't try and join in too soon.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've been guilty of many of those things, especially because I've played my share of bars, where it's like, okay, I need 60 songs and I only have 40. So I need to learn 20 songs over the next week or something. So, and it's not good. And then of course, the more you do it, the better you get because you connect with the song better. But I think this also applies to your own songs. Just taking the time to really get to know your own songs, because a lot of the times, I've done this. I've written songs, and this is one of the reasons why I always record songs when I'm writing them, just so that I have them. Mm-hmm. But I try very hard not to listen to them, to the recordings, if I can avoid it. The reason I record them is so that I have, especially if it's something that I abandon, then it's very good to have it so that if I need ideas, I can go back and listen to it and say, I can actually Frankenstein this a little bit. But I'll go back and listen to the original demos of the song. And because I'll go back and I'll work on it without listening back, it'll change because I don't remember it quite right. And it's always better after doing that. Because the brain just finds the way to make it better. So just taking the time to really play the song, sing the song, and just allow it to flow through you and listen to what it sounds like as you're doing it, is a really, this is why you should never rush to get songs out there. That doesn't mean take 10 years like I did with my first album, but take your time and make sure that you're letting it breathe while you're working on it. All right. So what was there? This would be what is it?
8, I think.
8. That makes sense. Yes. Number 8 is seek honest feedback. And this is a 2-part. Seek honest feedback because that's very important. But more importantly, learn from it. And this is the key thing because it can be very hard to get get your songs or your whatever criticized. But if it's constructive, you need to learn. You need to work on that muscle that examines the feedback you're getting as impartially as you can, which is hard. But you need to learn how to do that so that the feedback is actually useful. Because it's actually better to get negative feedback in some cases if you know how to deal with it and how to use it to get better.
Yeah, sometimes you need to go to someone who understands what strategy you need.
Yeah.
Like it's great for someone to go, oh, you wasn't that great. But when you go to a coach or someone who understands what's really happening, then you're going to get not just feedback of what worked and what didn't work, but also feedback as to how to approach it.
How to improve really it.
Important. Yeah. For number 9, I have had something in my mind. Oh, yeah. It's test.
Yeah.
So I feel like, what we try to be too perfect initially, and sometimes we just need to try to sing the song at a local gig or try to sing for your mother or try to, share the song with anybody. So it's about putting yourself out there and seeing what the response is and not being afraid of that response because you're learning from doing whatever you're doing. I think it's really important. It's a bit like, stepping out of your comfort zone, but it's almost like we don't see it as like a big, oh, I'm about to make my debut as a singer. Just be like, oh, I'm just going to try this out. Like see everything as a smaller, a smaller achievement and not try to make it into much bigger, a bigger thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. And this actually ties into the last one. Which is very similar, but it's not exactly an overlap. And again, it also goes back to the comfort zone thing, but these are slightly different. Is that you need to allow yourself to fail, and not be afraid of it, and learn to be fearless in the face of failure. And the only way to do that is to just almost almost consciously set yourself up to fail every now and then, but doing it in like a safe space. And I used to do this. I tell this story all the time. When I was just starting out, I had a partner, and we used to play this bar every weekend, or not every weekend, but every other weekend. And we set up this tradition for a while. It didn't run for very long, but we did this for a couple of months, where we would write a song and debut it the same night. So we'd like get together to rehearse a little bit. We didn't rehearse very much. We were kind of cool like that. But we got together and we said, okay, let's write a song and we'll perform it tonight. So we did that. And invariably it was a disaster. We'd forget how the song went. It was just horrible. It was honestly not every single time. I think once or twice this was good. And actually one of those songs survives to this day. But in most cases, it was absolutely horrendous. It just did not work at all. But we knew it was probably going to fail. And so we were prepared for it. And so it was like, oh, well, and we introduced the song like, okay, we wrote this song today. Probably not going to be very good. And so, nobody was judging us. It was just a funny experiment. And so it was really great. So that's something that you can absolutely do, and it will, it's very hard, and it's very, emotionally it feels awful in the moment, but afterwards it feels great.
That's really good. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
I have another thing that I have to go to, unfortunately.
Yes.
So sorry about that. And thank you everybody who's listened. And I'd love to talk to any of you. I do a free 15-minute consultation on my website. You can book in for something. So if anybody's interested, I look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, I do that too for songwriters. And now my lights are off. So this is clearly the cutoff point. But check out the Confidence in Singing podcast. Check out the Strongwriting podcast. Thank you so much. And my interview is coming out this weekend. And I can't wait to listen to that because it was a very fun conversation.
It was, yeah.
And I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ayvinder. Bye.
Thank you.